I'm Guy, this is Karen, and we're the parents of Kira.
Kira is a strong-minded little madam who's also very funny, humorous, and also very cuddly and an angel. She is an angel with horns, yeah.
Angel with horns, yeah.
Kira was 4 about 3 months ago and she goes to mainstream nursery. She goes 4 days a week and is totally spoilt by everybody there, just mainly for her personality more than anything. She's in dance on a Saturday morning, she was swimming on a Saturday afternoon, gymnastics on a Sunday, and then completely collapses in front of the telly on a Sunday afternoon. She's due to go to school in September this year, so it's like another 8 months away, so we're just planning to get everything in place for her there.
Did you know Kira had Down syndrome before she was born, or?
We didn't have a clue, and we didn't actually know till 24 hours later, which was nice in a way because we got that time of just having the newborn baby and just getting our head around that shock of crikey, it's a life and we're responsible for this.
Yeah.
And then the next day it was like, oh, hang on a minute, no refunds here, you know. But obviously we wouldn't change it now. But
I mean, you had various tests. You had the triple test, wasn't it? And because of our age and all the other bits and pieces, Karen was low risk for Down syndrome, so there was no further tests offered or anything like that. So we went through the pregnancy. When Kira was born, you had a natural but assisted birth, and that was my main concern really, because Karen lost so much blood on the table that it's my concerns totally, certainly for the next first 24 hours, was all about Karen. I mean, I was there in the room, everybody was fine, there was no indications that anything was wrong or anything was different to how it would normally be. It was just the fact that Karen had lost so much blood. Because that's what I was asked. I carried Kira and was asked to leave the room whilst they were giving you a blood transfusion. And so I really got to spend the first time with Kira, which was terribly emotional because it was the whole thing of the responsibility in this little girl and how fantastic things were going to be.
Kira hadn't had a wee all day, and I'd asked why nobody was bothered about her. So this is about 11 o'clock at night, and the midwife who'd been with me the 2 nights previous had sort of come in, and I said to her, she's really cheeky, she keeps pulling tongues, which to a trained midwife is, oh, hang on a minute, this is a sign of something else. So she took Kira off and called the paediatrician, and he gave her a check over and just said to me, she's fine, we'll see you in the morning, we'll send her for a scan on her bladder. So I was like, oh, all right then, thanks, you know. So off they went, and then in the morning they come in and they said, what time's your husband in? Will he be here by 11 o'clock? And I was like, oh, he's on his way, he's just rang. So they waited basically till Guy got in. I got a shower and they actually gave Kira a bath, which when I look back I think, oh aye, why didn't I give Kira the first bath? But the paediatrician came in, did a few checks, and then just said, we suspect Kira's got Down syndrome. So that was like, oof, you know,
That was it,
someone's taken the bottom out of our world and turned it upside down. And it was like, and we were like, nah, she can't have, you know. And they left us and we were like, no, she doesn't look like she has, and the things that she says that they have, you know, we were just trying to convince ourselves she didn't. And you know, they came back and did the blood test and said, we'll give you the date, we'll confirm it in 5 days.
I mean, it was pretty sure, but we kept on looking and saying, well, our eyes don't look particularly like a Down syndrome. You know,
We didn't know that much about it, to be fair. We were just going off what we knew. And
the stereotypes, wasn't it?
they'd offered us all literature at the hospital, and we were like, oh no, forget it, it's all right, we'll wait till we know she's got it. And then, I don't know, we were obviously in denial.
Oh, definitely denial. Definitely
But
denial.
the main thing was she was healthy, and she did have a hole in her heart, which we went for a further scan the following week to Alder Hay. But she didn't need any intervention, so we were lucky. Kira was lucky, and she was healthy. She had problems feeding, but it wasn't anything major. We went from, it could have been worse, it could have been something where people would recognise what she had and then would treat her really different. or it could have been better where she didn't have it at all. And then we'd go back to, well, she could be autistic and people would expect things from her because she didn't have those looks, those distinct features where people would look and think, oh, this child has got maybe a learning disability difficulty, and maybe give her extra time or extra support that she might need. So we were thinking, well, if she had to have anything, that was probably the better of what she could have been given. And we were thinking in those ways, and then we were given a book called Just Kids.
Just Kids.
Which showed all different children in all different walks of life, playing, sleeping, eating. And there was one particular picture of a young girl with Down syndrome who was a bridesmaid. And I say this, and this was the truth at the time, it was like a shopping catalogue, because we were like, we really hope she's going to be like her. And they were all beautiful kids. But this...
But that particular one, especially, I suppose for me, it resonated because certainly over this weekend, this weekend where it was in denial, degrees of reconciliation, then degrees of denial again, I literally mapped out the whole of Kira's life and how it was going to be different. And I went through, she's not going to go to university, she's not going to be a doctor, she's not going to do this, she's never going to do that, she's never going to get married, she's never going to be able to have kids, I'm not going to have grandchildren. And we went through all of that, and then there was a slow realisation, and I think some of it came from the literature as well, which is these were my aspirations, they weren't Kira's. And Kira can do all, if not most of those things,
Kira has been bridesmaid, hasn't she?
And Kira has been bridesmaid.
Yeah.
So it was my expectations, which, talking with other new dads, that's what you do. And particularly with girls, I think. Particularly with girls, you look forward to this and these things, and you map out their life in front of how you're going to look after them.
One thing I couldn't do was, I was jealous. I wasn't ashamed of Kira, but I was jealous of other newborns. And sometimes I think, rather than thinking everything was okay, we sort of tried to make it out we were alright in it, weren't we? Rather than, and emotionally we probably didn't let go early enough. And I think that it's okay to be like that. It's okay
to feel angry.
To feel upset, to cry at the stupid things on the telly which might just trigger something, rather than thinking, no, I've got to be strong for this child.
It's almost like that English reserve. It's like, it's fine, it's okay, everything's okay, and it isn't. And,
but it is okay, but it's just a little bit more difficult than...
It is. It's emotional time, and don't be scared of showing those emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and telling people how you feel about the differences that you encounter having a child with Down syndrome. Like, they're just a baby, and I think that's what you need to remember. They are still just a baby, and it's really nice just to enjoy the baby. And we make a joke out of it because, like, Kira didn't walk till she was like 2.5, nearly 3, and we had all that time without her running off on us. Whereas my mate was like, had another child, and she was like running legless around the Asda, and I was like, it's okay, she's fine, she's gonna walk, I'm just enjoying it.
There's always a question.
Now she's still like, she still doesn't talk. She says what she wants to when she wants something, a choice, but we'll enjoy the silence because we won't be able to shut her up. She's like the donkey from Shrek.
Yes, yeah,
it's
you
going
won't
to
be
be
able to
shut up. That's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
So you got to take the positives.
You take the positives as well out of it.
Take those
very much so.
things and grasp them.
Yeah.
See, that's one thing we've done with Kira. We've never treated her any different to how we would have treated her without it. Whereas, if I wanted to put a coat on, I'll just fling the coat and say, Kira, put your coat on. And if she can't do it, then I'll give her a hand. But I'll give her the opportunity to learn to do it herself. Because I just, that's our only fear, is people will make allowances for her. And she gets no allowances in here. No. If she's naughty, she gets told off, and she gets told off quite often. I said to her one day, okay, where's your shoes? Just looking to go out, and the next minute she appeared, and I was thinking, where did you get them from? And she just appeared with the shoes. She understood every word I said. And I think that's the danger. Some people underestimate. And we've done it, we've been in that position before.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
But we make sure, like, we just think, right, give it a go, give it another go, keep going, and give it a little bit of support if she needs it. If not, you know, and that's all sometimes she's needed.
It's funny,
It's that
actually,
encouragement, isn't it?
It's funny actually because it was last Sunday that one of the things that the coach said at gymnastics to me was, because Kira doesn't speak, she uses sign language, she has a few words, it was the fact that she understood all the instructions. They weren't babyish instructions to a 4-year-old, anything like that. It was walk over here, stand over there, stand on one leg type of thing, and she was following all of the instructions. And everybody, just because she doesn't speak and echo it back, it doesn't mean that she doesn't understand. And it's you know, and like I say, we get caught out sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
definitely.
do. Yeah.
Nicely though, it's nice to be
Oh, it
caught
is
out.
nice. Go say phone, yeah.
Give us a ring. Eat your food. Ta.
Tell me about Kane.
Ta.
Oh God, he's a little monster. No, he's well, he's 2.5. He's doing really well actually. He understands everything you say, bar no and don't do that.
He's funny, he's just proper funny all the time. Everything he does, like, he just does stupid little faces all the time at you and that. Like, and the way you'll be sitting there and he started to copy everything you do. So when you turn over a book, I mean, I'll lick her fingers, you know, before you turn over the page. He sits there and he starts going like that. When he's changing the book, he licks the wrong hand and turns it with the other one. So you just sit there laughing at him. He's proper funny.
When I went into hospital, I was in labour for 18 hours, which wasn't very good. But his heart rate kept dropping all the time. So then they decided to give me emergency cesarean. They didn't even know he had 2 holes in his heart. So they took me in for emergency cesarean. And then when I woke up, they took me back up and whatever. And then I hadn't seen Kane. And then they come in and said, he's got 2 holes in his heart. I went, is he all right, like, whatever. So they brought him in to, you know, show me then. And they said, oh, by the way, he's Down syndrome. I went, well, I swore then. I went, anything else? But I was still under the anaesthetic and whatever. So I didn't see him then till the next day. He was in intensive care. But when I seen him, I just fell in love with him anyway. And he was a little tiny thing because he was only £6. And he was lovely.
And how did you feel for so?
Oh, thrilled because he was a boy. And then my 2 girls are Horace. So mind you, saying that, now he's more of a monster than they ever were. As I say, he had 2 holes in his heart. He had them repaired when he was 6 months old. Then he went in last year. One of his little testes hadn't come down, which is a thing in Downs boys. Fine over that. And the 12th of December he goes in for his tonsils and his adenoids out because he doesn't sleep very well. You know, they have enlarged tonsils and enlarged adenoids. So it blocks, you know, the air as they're asleep. So it's making them toss and turn and wake up.
Right, is that something that you've chosen to go for, or is it something that's sort of...
They said it'd make him better. You know, I know another little boy is waiting to have it done as well. And he said it should help his sleeping. I mean, he's awake at 4:45, 3:45 in the morning, and that's your day then. Do you know what I mean? And it's a long day, but it's because of this, you know, he said if they take that, they'll open the airways and it will help him to sleep better. So, cross my fingers that it will.
Yeah.
I haven't had a decent night's sleep in nearly 3 years. Not that I'm moaning.
When the doctors told you it's the kind of Down syndrome, how did you feel?
I don't know really. I think I was still under the anaesthetic and everything else, you know what I mean? It didn't dawn on me till the next morning, till I seen him. And I mean, as I say, I work with Down syndrome children anyway, and they were my favourite people. So it didn't really affect me until the nurse came and she said, what are you doing? Are you leaving Kane here or taking him home? I went, what? She said, well, most people leave them, you know. Well, I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, I'll just take him, just say, oh, kids, I left the baby in the hospital because there was something the matter with him. I said, something wrong? She said, well, I have to ask. I was devastated. I thought, I'm not just leaving him here. it was a shock, but it wasn't, do you know what I mean, life-threatening. And as soon as it sunk in, you know, I meant you wouldn't change it for the world. So, I don't know. I don't think I took it as bad as some of the people who have, you know, found out that they've got Down syndrome. I think it helped knowing I knew a few kids with it. I knew what they could do and, you know, things like that. I knew a little boy, I mean, he's 22 now. He was 7 when he started on my bus. And I've known him all his life, do you know what I mean? And I knew what he could do, and I mean, he even went to his 21st birthday party and everything, do you know what I mean? He's lovely. And I think that made it easier for me, knowing what he could do and whatever. Just think, well, he was like a role model. And I thought, well, Kane can be like him.
I mean, do you see Kane as having a disability?
No, not at all, because like my mates have got brothers and sisters that are like the same age as Kane, and he'll be like better than all of them. Like they like our Louis now, like if you say to our Lewis do something, he won't do it. But if you say to our Kane, like go out in the kitchen or put that back, he'll put it back. But if you say get that out of the fridge, he'll do it. But if you say to Louis, he'll just look at you like as if to say, what are you saying there? Even though you say aya and he'll say aya, but that's it. Like or you're okay, and he'll say yeah. But our King can say yeah and stuff, so it's just exactly the same. I don't know, he didn't want to tell people at first because he was different, but then I just weren't bothered then. Because people usually think Down syndrome was like something wrong with them, like proper like disabled and everything. So when you say like, oh, my brother's got Down syndrome now, they all say, because all my mates know him now, they all love him. So they'll say, oh yeah, he's boss and all this. So it's alright saying it now, like, not bothered about it now.
Well, when they said about Kane walking and whatever, I mean, Kane walked when he was 18 months old. They said he wouldn't walk till after he was, you know, 2.5, you know, 3. He's starting to talk, he knows exactly what you're saying. The only difficult thing is his speech, really. But other than that, he's doing exactly, I mean, he can do little things, you know, like taking things out in rings and just like, I mean, we've got a little grandson, he's 2.5, and he's doing just as much as him, but he doesn't talk as much as him. So there's not much difference between them, and at the end of the day, we'll get it. So you just have to wait. I think some people think it's worse than what it is, do you know what I mean? It's like a stigma, isn't it? But it's not that bad, do you know what I mean? And as I say, I know other kids and whatever, and they can do things. You know, they're not incapable of anything, really. I don't know. I think they're more frightened, aren't they? I don't know. Let's just take things as, you know, every day, and this is still a baby, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And they grow up and they're lovely. And I'll stop crying. I don't know what I'm crying for.
He's special. They're special. They're specialer than other kids because they're nicer, apart from when you get like a clout off him, like. But he's like, he'll share and everything like that already. Like, he wouldn't, if you cry, he'll come over and kiss you to make sure you're better and everything. Like, he doesn't like to see people hurt or anything unless he's done it. And then he'll laugh at you. But, yeah, don't be worried. Nobody even, you think, oh, people are all going to be looking like saying, oh, look, she's got her brother's Down syndrome and that, but nobody even says anything. They just know not to. Because, you know, then once you bring your mates round and they start getting to know him and that, they won't be bothered about it either. And then if anybody says anything about him, I know your mates are there, they're going to say something to that person. So it's just, everybody sticks up for you, really. So not to be worried.
It's pointless hiding away, is it? So, well, he's still a baby. He's still yours. I just hope he can just do the best of his ability. You can't ask for more than that. So, and hopefully someone will always be here to look after him. If sisters will, anyway.
They'll give them all now. It's a song back in here. Yeah, look, you put it in.
Thank you.
I've got Charlotte, who's 5, nearly 5, she's starting school next week. And Millie, who's got Downs, is 3, just had her 3rd birthday, and she's also starting nursery next week. So we're quite excited about that. And the girls are really excited as well. So I suppose our lives are going to change once they start going to school. It's going to be a different routine, and we're looking forward to it. Millie's 3, just had her 3rd birthday at the weekend. She's lovely, isn't she? She's very bright. She's all just started walking as well. She's really cheeky. She chatters away. She's into everything. She's lovely, isn't she?
Yeah.
It was something that I'd never even thought about, never even crossed my mind. I mean, I was 27 when I was pregnant with Millie. She was my 2nd child. Never had any problems with Charlotte, so I just didn't even think about it. I mean, I was offered the test, you know, the double test and the triple test, what they do, and I just said no because I'd never had any with Charlotte. And then on the 20-week scan, she was showing some fluid around the kidneys, and so I had to go for further tests. And it was mentioned briefly, but I never thought nothing of it.
It wasn't quite clear whether, you know, there was a problem, there wasn't a problem, and you sort of like, we came out of there, and I remember we were going to a shop and we drove there in silence really, about, you know, having this amnio, and it was not that we were going to do it, but they leave you in a bit of a quandary. Do you, don't you? Should we flip the coin? Should we flip the coin? And Helen and I just sort of sat in the car and drove, because they don't say yes it is or no it's not. It's up to you to make the decision whether you want it. And I think Helen and I just sort of, were just contemplating what was going on. Drove down to the shop, got out in the car park and just said, well, what's the point? What's the point of putting a child at risk, the baby at risk, when it doesn't matter what happens, it's our baby, and whether it's got 3 arms, 3 legs, 4 feet, it doesn't matter, it's our baby, and that's what will be, will be.
For some reason, I just put it to the back of my mind. Maybe I'm just always optimistic, but I just thought, oh, you know, it won't happen to me. I mean, I'm young enough, never had any problems with Charlotte. She may be born with, maybe she might need an operation. It was explained to me about the kidneys, you know, there was still some problem with the kidneys. She might need an operation when she was born, but I just put it to the back of my mind after that. And then when she was born, I had a home birth, and it was fine, no problems. In fact, it was, you know, it would have been a perfect birth, really.
As soon as she was born, I had Millie in a towel, wrapped up in my arms, and we came downstairs to make a cup of tea for the midwife and Helen and everybody. And she was just gorgeous. And I noticed she was sucking in the top lip, you know, but it didn't mean anything to me. And I just thought, she wanted some food or whatever. You know, I mean, she was just my baby. She was born, elated that she was here, and everything was fine. And then we went back upstairs, and they wanted to give her a little bit of oxygen, and better take her to the hospital.
The ambulance arrived, we got on the ambulance, and I was just sitting there looking at her. The midwife had hold of her, and she was still sucking this bottom lip. And I just got a picture in my mind of my uncle, who also has Downs, and he does that when he hasn't got his teeth in. And it just reminded me of that, and I said to the midwife, has she got Down syndrome? And the midwife sort of looked at me and said, it's a possibility. And I just knew then, you know, but looking at her face, the expression that she was pulling, and I said to the midwife, I think she has. And she just sort of nodded. And I knew then, and it was like, it's just the shock, it just hit me. I think I just went into shock, but I couldn't show any emotion or anything, because I had the midwife just looking at me, and I had this ambulance man looking at me, and you just want to get away. But I couldn't, because we were going to the hospital. I
wasn't privy to that conversation that went on in there, because I was back with another lady in the house tidying up and getting ready to go to the hospital. So obviously I was totally stoked, over the moon, driving to the hospital, you know, father, another girl, great. Parked the car up, I walked in with the car seat, because I was expecting for just, you know, a bit of oxygen check over, we'll be home in 2 hours, to be met with Millie in an incubator, surrounded by 6-7 people all poking and prodding, and Helen, like I say, just sat in the corner at the back of the room.
When we arrived there, we were just surrounded by people, doctors, nurses, and I was just sat in the corner, sort of by myself, and they were doing all these tests and everything. And that's when Jeremy arrived, and I just said to Jeremy, she's got Down syndrome. Even though nobody had come over and spoke to me since then, I just sort of knew. Just shock. I couldn't feel anything. It didn't feel real to me. I just felt like because all these people were around Millie, that she wasn't my baby, that I was just sort of sat back out of it, and I just didn't want to be there. I couldn't think about anything. Yeah, I just didn't want to be there. I just wanted to go home and go to sleep because I was tired.
And then obviously as the day went on, they intimate what it is and what it isn't is, and you never really get a straight answer, and your emotions start flying and everything starts kicking in. And I think we came out to phone people around, because she was born in the morning, I think it was around lunchtime or whatever, and I lost it, completely lost it. You know, I just burst into tears, couldn't talk, I just couldn't think straight, I didn't know where I was or what I was doing, and I didn't know why it happened to us, what was going to happen to Millie, everything just unbelievably, just totally distraught. Helen, I must admit, was like the Rock of Gibraltar, pulled me through it, but it wasn't of a feeling of, oh, we've got a daughter with Downs. It was more of a case of what else could be. You know, we didn't know whether she was going to be disabled or whether she'd have problems with her heart or her eyes or her hearing. We didn't know anything that was going to go along with all this because nobody would really tell you.
And then it wasn't until the next day I had finally a chance to be with her by myself. I was looking at her, and she just snuggled into me, and she was just really cute, and I just thought, you know, she's my baby, and she'll be fine. And I just wanted to take her home. When we first got her home, I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to speak to anybody, and I just wanted to shut the door and lock it and just not tell anybody. I don't know why, I didn't want anybody to know for some reason. And friends of ours knocked the next day, and my friend was also pregnant and her baby was due any day, and she was the last person I wanted to see. And you let them in, didn't you? So I was sort of like forced to see them, and I was so glad I did, because I mean they were just acted like they were just made up to see her, weren't they? And they were just picking her up and cuddling her, and I was just thinking to myself, why was I so worried about people knowing?
I think from the time that she was born to the time at now, it's like worlds apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the day she was born, that week was just unbelievably just so hard for me, especially. I found that very, very hard to cope with, and you know, not that we had a problem with Downs, it's just that your emotions run riot through your brain and it's crazy. But now when you actually, I look back and I think, well, what was the problem? You know, there is no problem. I have no problems with telling people that, yeah, my daughter has Down syndrome, because I don't see it. I suppose not saying it's a great deal, because I suppose that's being very flippant. It's more, yeah, she has Down syndrome, and we're going to be learning with her for maybe the next 16 years and maybe longer, but we'll adapt to it. And it, as we said before, it puts everything into perspective.
I mean, we've never said to Charlotte, you know,
No.
Millie's different, have we, or
No.
she has Down syndrome. They just accept, and that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think in today's world that you have to label people. People shouldn't be put in pigeonholes and boxes like they were maybe 10, 20 years ago. It's different now. You know, if you've got a limp, you've got a limp. If you've got Down syndrome, you've got Down syndrome. Kids, get on with it. And I think if we can keep that line going when Millie's 16, 17, there will be no difference or stigmas or anything attached to it. It's just, it's Millie and she's 16. that's it, and that's the way it should be, isn't it, really?
To be honest, I think she's the best thing that's ever happened to me, personally. I mean, the amount of people that I've met.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, she's just sort of put things into perspective for me.
Yeah.
It just makes you appreciate, you know, what's important.
Yeah. You know, I look at it, we've got 2 beautiful children.
Yeah.
And I don't think, oh, I've got one daughter and I've got one daughter with Downs. They're both my children, they're both equally the same. You know, okay, Mill might take a little bit longer, but she gets into it, doesn't she? She does everything her sister does. She wants to be where you are. She's nosy, she's naughty, she's good, she's everything. And she's exactly the same, isn't she? And it's brilliant.